All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Analog Hour. It's your boy, the Analog Kid, here, and it's my podcast. Thanks again for tuning in because it's a new thing for me. So, any kind of listen is much appreciated. And any kind of feedback is definitely appreciated as well. So leave a comment and subscribe so you can hear the next episodes. Today, whenever you're listening to this, I got a cool guest coming up. I have a band leader of a really cool band out here in Los Angeles. And they got a new album coming up. And they got a bunch of shows here in Los Angeles and beyond. And they got a really cool, unique sound. He describes it as rock, but they have a full-on horn section. And their main influence for the band is Motown. So it's very soulful, but very heavy at the same time. So, without further ado, here is Brian McShae, band leader of the Sidemen. We're rolling. How's it going? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Analog Hour. Tonight, we got a cool guest. I'm sitting with a really talented guy. Started following his band online, and I'm speaking with a multi-instrumentalist who also writes songs, and he's got a pretty cool band. He fronts the Sidemen. Introduce yourself, brother.
My name is Brian McShae. I'm the guitarist, singer, writer, band leader of the Sidemen.
Right on. Brian McShae. And the Sidemen, yeah, check them out online. They're this really cool, like, funk, soul, rock experience, I guess. Would you consider that correct?
Yeah, pinning down a genre is hard, but I always just say rock because it's got a big distorted guitar.
It does, yeah.
But it definitely does go a few different places.
Yeah. But it's definitely in the more soulful vein.
Yeah, I tend to find myself going back to, even for rock reference, I tend to find myself going back to Motown. So soul is a big part of everything.
Right on. So
Yeah.
Motown for rock. Right on.
I definitely at the heart of it all, yeah.
Cool. So speaking of all that stuff, then, like, what's your main influence for this group?
For this group, probably at this point, I'm thinking about Motown into Bruce Springsteen.
That's pretty cool.
Bruce Springsteen is, especially the more rockin' side of Bruce Springsteen, he's just an old, kind of rowdy New Jersey R&B group that had a horn section and a really big band. Right. And his career did not really develop into what I would have imagined it to be, but his early stuff really informs kind of what I see for this band.
So yeah, your band has how many members?
7.
7 members right now, and they have a full-on horn section, a 3-piece horn section, correct?
Yep.
And it definitely makes me jealous. We definitely would like one of those.
I'm very lucky.
Horn sections in our band. So So you mentioned that earlier that you just moved here in Los Angeles.
Yep, October.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Virginia. I grew up in Virginia, and then I went to Coston. I went to college in Boston. For the last 4 years, I just came out here from there.
Right. And you went to music school, right?
Yeah, I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Sweet. So what was your major out there?
I was a jazz composition major. Smallest major in the school.
Right on.
But it was the reason I picked there is because when I was in 8th grade, I was looking at places and I was trying to do jazz composition, and there's just nowhere else that had that kind of program. So it was kind of Berklee or bust.
Right on. And so it was a 4-year.
4-year program.
Yeah.
Midway through, I switched away from an accredited degree to just a diploma. So I stopped taking like English and math and shit like that. I didn't take some classes I really wish I had. I didn't take like music history. I didn't learn about a lot of classical music and stuff like that. But I still did all of the like the playing and writing classes you normally would do.
Right on. And then so that's where you formed the original Sidemen, right?
Yeah,
In Boston.
I formed the Sidemen midway through my junior year. It was originally just a recording that I made, and it's turned into this whole band.
Ah, cool. Well, yeah. So I was checking out your YouTube videos, and so did you write all the songs there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah. I also was a like undeclared dual songwriting major at Berkeley because they just have some good songwriters on their faculty that can give you some good advice.
Ah, no wonder. Well, yeah. I mean, I dig your sound, man.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Cool.
It's a fun sound. It's a fun sound to have.
Yeah, and so how long you been playing guitar?
Over 10 years. I started playing when I was 10 going on 11, I want to say. It was Boulevard of Broken Dreams was like right on the radio, and I was in the 5th grade, and I was like, oh, that's me. I think my best friend was into it, and I was like, oh, that's what we're going to do now. And that's where I started, and I just kind of haven't stopped.
Right on. So so you're 5th grade and you heard Green Day on the radio.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. Well, yeah, definitely they were huge at that point when that came out, and they even had like an opera for that, right? Or like a
and then
play
it's a
for
fully fledged Broadway play now. I still have not gotten the chance to see it, but
yeah.
5th grade me would love to see that.
So what are you into now?
Now, that's a really good question. It bounces around a lot. I'm not great with new music, so I tend to bounce around old music a lot.
Yeah.
Like this month, this week, just because I went to emo night last night.
Emo night.
You know, emo night. It's a
Wow.
thing they hold at the Echoplex in Silver Lake.
So they still have like emo bands play there?
Yeah, so they have. There's a few different rooms, and one of them has like kind of modern emo bands, so I don't know anything about. And downstairs they're playing all these throwbacks, and so I've been listening to a bunch of Fall Out Boy this whole past week just to like get myself in the mood for that.
Right on.
Other than that, I mean, Wolfpack. I kind of just discovered Wolfpack.
Oh, that's actually my drummer's favorite band.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's a great choice for a favorite band.
Yeah, they're really funky.
They're funky and they're funny and they're goofy and
yeah, and yeah, I love their pocket. And just
they're also just kind of every do-it-yourself musician's dream, I think. Like all their videos are shot on iPhone and they record everything like in a bedroom live and and it sounds
so they do everything themselves and
and it just sounds totally legitimate and real, and it's just like, oh, if they can do it. If they can do it, we totally can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still have to get like really into where I know their songs and stuff, but I've definitely listened to just playing it on Spotify, just like letting it play. But they're like an instrumental funk band, right? Would you say?
I think they started off as instrumental, and they've kind of added in singers or features and stuff like that. So they have some like they have some kind of regular pop songs.
Yeah.
The singers now.
Yeah, but it's really funky.
Yes, extremely funky.
But if you see how they look, like they don't look funky at all. You know, like
nah, they're just these like 4 Jewish dudes.
Yeah, you think it's like inner city kids, but no.
Yeah, like who would have known? But
yeah. So when I saw how they looked like, I was definitely shocked in a cool way. Cool. And so, what are you guys up to right now with the Sidemen?
Our biggest thing today, we just announced this, is that we're going to release our newest single, our newest recording. It's going to come out online on Spotify on Tuesday, February 27th. And
Right
then
on.
we're playing a release party for it at Hotel Cafe on the 3rd.
Sweet.
With Otter Pasternak and Distant Cousins playing before us.
Cool. So there you go. See you guys there.
Yes.
On February 20.
That's the day listen on February 27th. That's the day the song comes out. And
The party is
and party on that Saturday, March 3rd.
March
at
3rd,
Hotel Cafe.
Hotel Cafe. That's in Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of Hollywood.
So there you go.
And then speaking of funk, it's our funkiest song. It's a song called "We Don't Want to Hear About It," and it's just definitely the funkiest thing we've ever done. So
right on, cool. So how when you were 5th grade, that's when you started playing guitar?
Yep.
Started playing guitar and singing.
Yeah, I started singing. I always James Hetfield from Metallica said the same thing. It was just there kind of wasn't anybody else around to sing, so he just started singing. So yeah, I was just like I was playing guitar, and then like, well, there are words, so there's no one else to do it. So I started singing, and I've started to take it more seriously. Probably the last 3 years is when I've started to really train it.
Right on. Well, you do have a cool voice, you gotta say.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. And so, who was your favorite guitar players? Because I like the way you're soloing, man. It's pretty cool.
Thank you, dude. Well, it's 10 years is a lot of time to listen to guitar players. I think the biggest one, I remember discovering Angus Young and AC/DC was a big moment.
Yeah, that was my favorite first.
Oh my God, AC/DC Live. My friend had that on. My older friend had that on once when I was over.
Me too. That was my thing.
That's a
weird.
great record.
That's weird, yeah.
And so good to learn how to play lead guitar. Because Angus Young isn't, he has fun and plays fast stuff, but he isn't flashy.
No. And it's all in the pocket, and it's all feel.
It's all feel, and it's all kind of just serves the song, and serves your headbanging, you know.
Right. And there's a certain way to play it, too. There's a certain way to play the licks.
Yeah.
That if you don't play it that right way, you're not
right. It is not going to sound like AC/DC.
Yeah.
But a bigger deal for me after I discovered him was Slash. Slash was a huge deal for me.
Sweet, me too, man. Cool.
Yeah, dude.
So you're in the Gibson vein.
Absolutely. And then even when I started listening to jazz players, it was still like Pat Metheny was my first jazz player, and he still plays a Gibson too.
Right on. I think. Really? I thought
he's played a few. I think he might play an Ibanez now.
Yeah,
but
Ibanez.
But I know back in the day, one of his synth guitars was a Gibson, and then at some point along the way, he's playing a Gibson 175.
So right now you got a 335, right?
Yes.
Pretty sweet, man.
Lucky, I'm very lucky.
Yeah. What year is that?
It's a 2014, and it's not one of the good ones.
Oh.
I've heard about Gibson's quality control, and I was like, yeah, but I'm still gonna get this, and it's the right guitar. It's the right guitar for me. It's the right guitar for my hands. It fits, one of the guitars that just like fits your body.
Yeah.
But I've had all sorts of electrical issues. The pickup selector is very just has a mind of its own. It can go anywhere. The frets are I've only had this thing. It's 2014. I've only had this thing for like 3 years, and the frets are wearing down. You can see kind of where the grooves are. And like I've played the hell out of this thing, and I played this thing like.
Does it have the binding on the neck?
Yeah, it does.
So does it have like where the binding like forms part of the fret?
Yes, it does.
Okay. How do you like that? You got used to it.
I've definitely gotten used to it. Yeah, I don't know if I ever thought about that because it kind of keeps, at least on my guitar, it keeps the frets from poking out too much.
Yeah.
They kind of curve in, which is pretty easy for me.
So it makes it comfortable.
Which is good for my hands. But the frets themselves have been wearing real thin, and there's a lot of points where it buzzes on the next fret up.
Yeah.
And I just haven't had the guitar long enough for that to be, for that to be like.
So the frets might have been cheaper or something.
Yeah, something's weird about it. But on the other hand,
But if you play a lot, though, who knows?
Right. There's no replacement for it. It's just the right guitar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have a few. I mean, I have another one as a backup, but I have a Telecaster as a backup. But
right on.
But yeah, it's just one of those experiences where you just.
That's your sound now.
It's my sound now, and it's just my hands feel very good on the neck, and it's got the right weight in the right places.
still has the same pickups on it.
Yeah, it has the stock pickups. I've been saying for 3 years that I'm gonna get ones that split and do all sorts of fancy stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I haven't done it.
Yeah.
So humbuckers for now.
Right on. Right on. Well, yeah, I like your sound and your soloing, man. So, Slash, who else?
Well,
Other
after
guitar players
I think the next big one after Slash, there was a very long break in my guitar influences where I was kind of focused on writing for a few years. But pretty recently, I've gotten into Julian Lage, who's a kind of current jazz guitarist.
I haven't heard.
I'd highly recommend looking him up.
How do you spell the last name?
Lage is just Lage,
Ah,
and he's kind of like just hit a turning point in his like artistic career. He used to play a bunch of hollow bodies and be very clean cut, but he's just come out with these records where he's playing a Telecaster in a trio setting, right? And he plays it through this old Fender like Champ or something like that, and it's cranked.
yeah.
So like he can play very clean and have a really nice sound too. But there are times on his records where he sounds like a rock guitarist, and he's probably like I think he's one of the most talented guitarists alive. He can make up anything on the spot.
Lage.
Highly recommend. Yeah, listening to any of the videos he's got out. I mean, especially the one "I'll Be Seeing You." It's just if there's a style of guitar playing you like, he probably touches on it somewhere in the solo, somewhere in that song.
Cool.
Just mind blowing.
Right on. So, sure, you're a big fan of that guy for sure.
I am. I'm going to see him in 2 weeks, and I'm.
Oh, right on.
That's probably the only like new music that I'm keeping up with. I wish I was better about that, but he's definitely someone who's got my interest.
Right on. Speaking of old music, so you're into rock, and are you into funk?
Yeah, I kind of just started getting into funk the last few years or so. I just started listening to like Earth, Wind, and Fire and P-Funk, obviously. But I've kind of just started getting into that.
Have you ever heard of the Meters?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you remind me kind of like them. And cool. And so, how many other than this one recording that you guys have coming out? Any other stuff that you've already released?
Well, we're doing a song a month. We have a whole 5-song EP called "Real People Not Actors," or at least tentatively titled that. And then we're just doing a song a month for the next 5 months. It'll come out in June.
Right on.
So we're trying to do a release and a release party for each of those tunes.
Cool.
So that's going to kind of inform our schedule for the next month.
Sweet. And are you going to be based out here in LA for now?
That's my plan, man. That's
Right
my
on.
plan is to be out here for a while.
So you came out here from Boston
Yes.
to be a musician in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Right
Good
on.
move. Enjoying that move so far.
So far. Since so how long has it been?
It's been maybe 4 months. Just over 4 months. I got here early October.
Right on. Cool. And how do you like LA so far?
I like it, man. When I was in Boston, I was in the cover band scene. I was in the GB scene, and there were a lot of talented people who I was a big fan of. And you try and go out and see them, but they're all in cover bands. So just at the very best, like you're hearing them blow your mind over Katy Perry or Kesha or something that like you played the last night and the night before and the night before and the night before. So it just got very.
So is that like a big scene out there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I came from coming from all the kids in Berkeley are trying to get gigs, they're trying to get jobs, and that was kind of like the freshest live scene. Right, was this cover band scene, and it was really packed with all these talented kids. But
so, what kind of places would have cover bands like?
So they're all wedding bands. So it would be like on
see.
Friday night you would do a club. You would do like a bar, like a bar turned club or a legit club, and then on Saturday you would do a wedding, and then on Sunday for the longest time we used to play at the same bar, every Sunday for the longest time.
Right on. So that's where you learned your chops, right there.
So that I mean that was boot camp right there. I did 2 years separated by a few months, in these cover bands, and that That was just like, it was just like boot camp, man. It was just playing, 3 or 4 nights a week, every week,
Yeah.
52 weeks a year.
That's wow.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
And it's 4 hours of playing, 3 hours of playing with breaks,
Yeah.
and just.
Were you carrying an amp the whole time?
Oh yeah, it's not like yeah, no techs or anything.
Yeah.
You go, you set up your stuff. You set up we had all the speakers with us. We had all the mixing equipment with us.
Yeah. Wow.
You set it all up. You run it all.
Oh, even the PA.
Yeah, dude. We brought in both the subs and the speaker stands and speaker
'cause
towers.
it's a wedding.
Because we had them for weddings, so we could do them anywhere. But then a lot of times we bring them into clubs too.
So wow.
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
And you had to set everything up, like the band did.
Oh yeah, dude. You get there, and an hour and a half before you play. You set everything up, make sure it works. You play for 3 hours, play for 4 hours, and then you put it all back in the truck, drive home, and then put it all away.
Yeah. See, people think like if you're in a band, you're just like chilling all day, drinking or smoking, and just like
I wish, dude.
hanging out with chicks. But the reality is, you're like, it's like moving. I relate it to moving all the time.
Yes, it is. And I did a lot of the gigs before I actually started moving around Boston, like out of the dorms and stuff like that. So yeah, when I got to moving, it was like, oh man, this just feels like work. This just feels like a gig.
Yeah, so like people like that have a nice cushy job in an office, that's a lot easier than being a musician. Let me tell you.
At times, I mean, there's definitely times where it's just like, yeah, it's the middle of playing and like I just did a shot and you're having a beer and it's a wild night.
Right.
But then also like at the end of that, it's not like I'm gonna like go hard and then go home and crash my bed. It's like I'm gonna like do this, finish up, and then I'm gonna like pack all this stuff up, drive an hour, 2 hours, and like put it up in a storage locker, and then I'll go home.
Yeah. You said it right there. But it's worth it once you're on stage. For me, like once you're on stage and you actually see people light up.
Yeah, dude.
I think
there's
worth it.
Nothing else like it. It must be like what athletes feel when they take the field or something like.
Right.
There's just like once it starts, it starts. You're in it. You do this for the next hour until the next break is, and like just focus on it.
That's what I live for, man.
Absolutely.
The razor's edge right there.
Absolutely, man.
The fine line between shining and failing, dude, right there is awesome. So, how long you been performing live?
Well, when I started playing guitar when I was a kid, I did not shy away from it. I think mostly just because I liked playing guitar, and I didn't really get the grasp like the difference between playing by yourself and performing. Like it was just kind of like I just kind of like to play guitar, so I'd rather be doing it rather than not, whether or not I'm with somebody or not.
Yeah.
But then I didn't play my first gig until I was in like a senior in high school. My original like pop punk band played our first club gig, and it was like I had fun, but it was 30 minutes. It was over in like a second. I didn't get that many time to feel it, and so I didn't start. I did the odd gig here or there when I was high school and in college, but I didn't start gigging a lot until the end of my sophomore year, summer before junior year. I joined this cover band and
in the weddings.
I started doing these weddings. Yeah, I had this summer before my junior year where I was living in Boston for the first, and it was the first time I had lived without my parents. I was in an apartment by myself, and all I had to do was be in the cover band, and that period of my life really was smoking all the time, drinking all the time, doing gigs and getting home, but it was boot camp, yeah.
Right on, cool. And so right now, are you still recording your EP?
Yeah, we're still finishing up. We still got some background vocals. And I think that's it. I think we got some background vocals and some mixing, and that's all we got left.
And then you're just gonna release a single at a time.
I'm just gonna release a single at a time, yeah.
It's
been a long process to record this. I've learned a lot of things. Whereas our first,
where'd you record it at?
We recorded at a few places. We recorded some of it at my school.
At Berkeley.
At Berkeley, yeah.
In Boston?
Yeah, back in Boston.
see.
There's actually a number of things because some of the songs, the drums come from like a 2-year-old session that was done at a independent studio in Boston, and some of the stuff, like half of it's from the Berkeley studios, and then almost all the vocals were done here in LA, and all the guitars were done here in LA, in my friend's bedroom.
Right on. Cool. And so it's a 5-song EP?
5-song EP. Yeah.
This is the first release?
This is we have our like 5-song kind of college EP that we put out in 2017, about a year ago, really, which was really just live in the studio. I mean, just as live, almost no overdubs. I mean, I overdub vocals, and, horns are overdubbed and everything like that, but like, one track of guitar, just the bare minimum of horns and background vocals, and it wasn't really a production, if you know what I mean. And then this has been, record this day, record this day, and try different things.
Multi-track.
Yeah.
And who produced the record?
I did. I kept trying to have some help along the way, or people who I'd be like, "What do you want to help produce this?" And then after a while, we both kind of realized, like, it's still just me. I'm still just producing it.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. The biggest thing is I have some friends helping me with. I don't necessarily know what needs to be doubled, what needs to be wide panned, what needs to go where. But for the most part, it's all arranged when I write a score.
Yeah.
Because I write all the horn parts, and I write all the parts for it, and it's all on a score. So.
Oh, right on.
That is most of the production right there.
Cool. So yeah, you write everything for the horn players and everything. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
See.
And they inject life into it. I mean, I write something that's like, I write da 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 da, and they're the ones that go da da and da. They're the ones that figure it. They look at that and they talk amongst themselves and they figure it out that should be that. So.
Right on. Cool.
So I write it, but they really act it.
So the drummer that drums on the record is not your current drummer?
No, there are a few. The drummer that's drumming with me now his name is Sam Ward. He went to Berkeley a few years before I did. I didn't met him till I came out here. We both moved out here like the same week, and we both played in cover bands back in Boston at the same time. We've never met.
Oh wow.
But I just met him when I came out here, and I just started playing with him, and he's great. We have a lot of similar experiences from the cover band stuff, but yeah, he's not on any of the records.
Oh, right on.
There's 2 different drummers in the records. We Don't Want to Hear About It is this great drummer named Jonah Summerfield, who's here in LA as well. Who I think he also does his own production and stuff like that too. But he's just a pocket player. I mean, he sounds like you put a sampler on. He sounds so good.
Wow.
And then the other one is Hector St. Hilaire, who still lives in Boston, who's from Boston, who's just one of my oldest friends from college, and he's just very versatile.
Right on. Cool. And the other players are all from different places.
Yep. Same thing there.
So did you do the bass or?
No. It's all only things that are me on within the releases are guitar and vocals. I mean, they all started with demos with me doing everything, and they eventually either got replaced or re-recorded or something like that. But yeah, the bassists on this record are Maddie J, who's also out here, who's also she does production. She has her own project. She works on Maddie J and the PH Collective.
She's your current bass player?
Yeah, you should check. I mean, if you like funk, you should definitely check her out. She's something else. She's fantastic. And then my homeboy from Virginia, Alex Rodriguez, plays fretless bass on a few songs, and this great bassist Kevin Prochnow played bass on some sessions like 2 years ago, and we're going to use his takes on this recording.
Right on. And so, what are your plans for this group after the release and this year?
So, I mean, I'm still figuring that out. I mean, that's like a huge like project I'm tackling right now is like what's the real like long-term 1 year, 5 year goals for the Sidemen? And so I kind of have this idea. We're doing these releases a month of this EP coming up,
Yeah.
and when it's over, I kind of just don't plan to stop.
Keep
like
recording.
yeah, I mean, I have a banks of tons of songs. Not all of them are, not all of them obviously are good, but I'm hoping that as time goes on, I'll be able to select the ones that I'll be able to keep up and select ones to release, for this month's release, for next month's release, so on.
Cool.
And that's pretty much all I got.
Right
We need
on.
to we need to do I would love to do a tour. I would love to do more gigging.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to figure out what the nature of gigging around LA is, because it's a little different than the East Coast.
Well, LA, for my experience, is there's a few pretty good spots, but beware of the pay to play.
Oh man, I have turned down so many gigs already because of that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's up to you if you think it's worth it, but I think if you're a musician, you should be
I think
be
if
a
there's
musician, not a ticket seller.
if there's any point where it makes financial sense for you to upfront the money like that, because
Yeah.
you're gonna make more than that money back,
Right.
You're beyond pay to play at that point. Like you're not gonna ever have to entertain those kind of offers.
And it's kind of sad that a lot of these classic venues
Oh my gosh, I know that.
are just making money off musicians.
I mean,
and
I didn't have
bands.
any real hope to play the whiskey or something like that when I came out here, but yeah, dude, to
Yeah.
hear that, to see what those show offers are like, and you see it from some venue that you love or that
Yeah.
you've heard so many stories about, and you're like,
Right.
oh wow, that's what they're offering now. That's bad.
Yeah, it's just pretty. So that's the state of LA, but there's other spots that aren't like that. You just gotta find them. But definitely, hopefully, maybe sometime you can play with our band.
Dude, we would love to.
Yeah.
If you ever need some sort of rock and roll, if do you guys play with horns ever?
We should
I was gonna say, because that would be something we could do. Is like we could share a horn section.
collaborate. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're down, yeah.
absolutely, dude.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, yeah, we're based out of here in the Valley, so whenever you're free, just definitely hit me up.
Absolutely.
Cool. And so, Brian, looking forward to hearing more from the Sidemen and yourself. Do you have any plans of making other groups or other projects musically?
Yeah, I just joined the guy who's doing all the guitars and the vocals for these recordings coming up. His name is Zach Boucher. And he just quit his desk job at a record label, and he's like, all right, I need to he just kind of realized that he needs to make music, that he's more of an artist than a businessman. And I'm very excited that I just agreed to start working with him. We don't have a band name or anything yet. We just have
cool.
we just have a collection of demos, and it's much heavier. It's much more punk, like I don't want to say post-hardcore, but think Under Oath, Fall Out Boy, bands in that area.
All right, on. Cool. Well, once you have songs for that, then
Dude, absolutely.
we'll have another podcast about that band.
I'd love to be back. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Brian, thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Talking to me about your music, and tell the people out there where they can find you and any shows or anything coming up.
Best place definitely is just Brian McShae's thesidemen.com. McShae is MCSHEA.
Is there an apostrophe there?
There's no apostrophe. I don't fuck with that. And then there's Facebook.com/Brian McShae's The Sidemen, which is probably the next best one-stop shop for everything. You can get to everything from there.
Cool. So Brian McShae's The Sidemen. Check them out. And thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you at the next episode. Peace.
Peace.